there are so many people out there who do not understand video games and therefore they view them as a threat. They say that there is a link between real world violence and video games when that isn't the case. And now another study is finding no link between sexualized female video game characters and misogyny. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, we constantly see studies releasing saying video games are actually a good thing. They help with children's development, they help people find a sense of accomplishment in their lives, and it's a way for you to escape the real world. That is what entertainment should be first and foremost, a form of escapism. But there are a lot of people out there who do not understand our hobbies, whether they are politicians or normies, whether they are older people or younger people. There are always going to be individuals that say video games are for losers, which of course is ridiculous given half the world's population plays video games on some consistent basis. But this study is definitely blowing up again, which I think is very, very good. And I love bringing attention to good studies. We constantly see them releasing about how video games are a positive force, right? This one says new study proves playing video games is actually good for you. Here's another saying they actually make you happier. And now we have this one that is getting quite a bit of attention again, which I want to bring some attention to. Now, we have seen so many groups, especially ones comprised of raging feminists like Collective Shout, for example, saying, oh my gosh, we need to ban certain content because this leads to men harming women in the real world, and then men only view women as objects of sexual desire and all this ridiculous nonsense, and they never have any proof to back it up. They never have any studies to back it up, or in the few instances that they do, the studies are completely bogus and they are definitely biased as hell. But this one was a pretty big group of people. You have multiple saying this, but it says whether video games with sexualized content do or do not relate to mental health and body image problems in players and or sexualization and hostility towards women, it is an issue of broad public interest. However, evidence from empirical studies have generally been mixed. I don't know if I necessarily agree with this. Again, I haven't seen every single study that has ever released, but typically it skews in, we'll just say, the gamer's favor, that, oh, the gamers are, the innocent ones here, or the gamers haven't actually done what the claims are. But it says to examine this issue, we explored the degree to which sexualization in games was related to both well-being, body dissatisfaction, and sexism/misogyny amongst players in two separate meta-analysis. Results revealed that sexualization in games was neither related to well-being and body dissatisfaction nor sexism and misogyny. Better designed studies and those that showed less evidence for research or expectancy effects for sexism and misogyny outcomes tended to find less evidence for effects, as appears commonly in other realms of media effects. The evidence is weak that sexualized games influence player attitudes and behavior. Now, I think any person with an average intelligence could tell you that video games are not the major problem in the world. And I'm not saying that there is no situation where a man views a woman as a sexual object because of video games. I'm sure that it definitely does happen in small quantities, but when half the population of the world plays video games, yeah, we would be running into some extremely intense situations out there, and that isn't the case. I personally think that social media is significantly more harmful, because if you are scrolling for 2 or 3 hours a day on TikTok and you're a young girl and you are seeing women with, I don't know, breast implants and lip injections and face filler and twerking to, very sexualized songs, that is going to do significantly more harm to a young woman's mind and her image of her own body, compared to, I don't know, playing a game as Lara Croft, who is, yes, sexy, but also sassy and intelligent and charismatic. I think that we definitely have a bigger issue on our hands, and it isn't the video games. Now, of course, gamers have been vilified so much, and it's so sad to see that we constantly have to defend our hobbies against lunatics and basically cultists. And of course, these radical feminists are never going to stop. There are certain politicians out there that are never going to stop, but it's studies like this that are so important to our cause. Again, we have these studies proving playing video games is good for you. This is from August 2024. This one is not that old either, 2020. Playing video games makes you happier. Study finds there are thousands of positive studies out there, and there are so many people talking about this one on social media. Even if female game characters are depicted in a sexy manner, it does not provoke actions related to gender discrimination or misogyny, according to research results from a US university. The same applies to violent content as well. The article itself is from 3 years ago, but since it's not enough, no matter how many times it's repeated, I'm reposting it. Because the original study was from Japan, there are lots of Japanese politicians and creators talking about this. Rather, being unable to admire something shows a narrow mind, even if it is a matter of taste. I want to call beautiful what I find beautiful. Well, it's the perfectly ordinary conclusion that idiots who resort to crime or discrimination after watching games wouldn't be able to act decently if they didn't watch games. But still, the fact that it's been academically proven is important, isn't it? I wish people would just shut up about the whole games cause violence, sexism, misogyny, etc. bullshit. It's been disproven so many times at this point that it's a wonder why people are still trying to argue it. And again, I'm sure that there are certain individual cases where people, yes, are extremely gullible, and you can create that link between violence that they committed and video games, but that is few and far between. This post has over 10K likes, 300,000 views talking about it. How many more decades and studies that keep coming to the same conclusion are we going to need? Seems like some of these are fishing studies until they finally get one that they need to confirm their belief. Trust the science. Almost like people appreciate fine art feminists when seeing more women in video games, but the women are hot and they're crying. The meme, literally just a girl, pure gooter slop. Wow, it's almost like this woman was full of shit and grifted for years, and everyone who called her out on it is now vindicated. And yeah, Anita Sarkeesian never cared about the video game industry. She just saw a way to potentially make money and maybe gain a little bit of popularity, but that clearly didn't work out in her favor. Believe the science, stop the slop. Are we ready to put this ridiculous idea to bed yet? You don't get things like misogyny or violent aggression from video games. You get them from a culture that actively feeds self-destructive, suicidal ideas like believing men can be women and being fat is healthy. Fan service for the win. Collective shout, mainstream media, Visa and MasterCard and feminists. I'll ignore that. Yeah, whenever the science is not in their favor, they melt down and, of course, call you an ist and a phobe. We've definitely seen that a lot over the past couple of years, and that's not going to stop because these people are obsessed with getting their way and proving that they were right all along, even if they have to use studies that are not reliable and sources that are not reliable to try to continue to push their narrative. So I'm curious to see if any of them will respond to this. I'm 95% sure that they won't. Only time will tell, but for now, that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this important and informative, make sure to give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.